Sometimes we take for granted our accessories. We're always worried about our tools, our expensive power tools, but sometimes we neglect our accessories, especially when we're in the middle of a job, whether that be drilling through wood on a construction site or whether that be drilling through steel, even on a vehicle, drilling through something and not realize what may be behind something, in something, what have you. So take this 2 9/16 inch bit. Some of these bits are going to be well north of 40 bucks to buy these, at least, $25, $30. So actually damaging them can be quite expensive. So even though they may not add up to a power drill or a power tool, a few of them could add up pretty quickly. So let's just watch. So we've got this 2 9/16 inch speed bore bit here. So let's watch it do its thing. So obviously has no problems, sharp enough to cut through and go all the way through in one pass. But what happens when we hit something? So let's take a deck screw and we'll go ahead and just hide it there in our LVL so that we can have a great time hitting it, right? Okay, here we go. And so we hit the screw, we knocked it out, and we've got a little bit of damage on here. That's not good enough for me. Let's go ahead and put another screw in there and see if we can't damage it a little bit more. Get a little deeper in there. Right, we start hitting something and we think, is that something? Nah, we just keep going. It's probably just a knot, right? Yeah, it's just a knot. Even broke it loose in our chuck here. So, we've got some significant damage now, both on the blade here, the slicing side, so that's all chewed up. We've also got some marks, obviously, on these teeth as well, where we've laid those over. By the way, it looks like our original screw's in there and our other screw behind it as well. So now let's check this out. Let's put it back in. And let's drill another hole. Okay, we're getting nowhere on this. Let's actually clean up the thread, see if we can do that. Clean up those threads a little and see if we can get that started. How about if we even really get it started? So now we've got our center hole. So even really trying to force this, it is still, you can see the grooves that it's putting in the wood. Ooh, that's warm. It is not really. I am really having to force that. Now, this is not trash. We don't have to throw this away, especially you're needing to make that last hole, you're needing to get the job done, what have you. Not only do you not want to go out and spend another 40 bucks on a drill bit, the fact that you have to find one, is there one out there? You have to spend the time to leave the site, to go get it, to leave your shop, to go get it. So let's show you how we can fix this. Now I can do this several ways. I'm going to use a power tool, but you could easily use a file to do this. So if you just had a flat file, you could dress this up. But we need to do a couple of things to attack this situation. First, we have this blade here that is very jagged and not sharp at all. And then we also have the side teeth here, which are laid down. You see we have actual flat spots on this. And if you look deep at it, it's just laid over. There's really no blades left on the sides, nor on the cutting blade here. And we even got some damage on the threaded self-feed bit. Not sure what we can do with that, but we should be able to get around that, even if we had to drill a center hole to get this started, right? So we definitely need to attack this, and it doesn't take forever to do this. Okay, to fix this, you just really need to take a logical approach. So we have a cutting blade here, which we have both a floor, kind of the bottom, and you have the face of the blade. So we need to address those two things. We also need to address these teeth here on the side. So they need to be, number one, pointed and not have a flat spot, because they've got to have a leading edge, and that leading edge needs to be cutting. If there's something higher than that, then that's going to be, in a sense, what it's going to be riding on. It's not going to be cutting in and digging through the wood. It's just going to be riding on the top and heating things up. So we need to address these points on the side. And again, we have the outside surface as well as the inside surface here, and we need to get a good point on those also. Now, as I mentioned, we could easily take a file and we could dress that face, and just being nice and careful that you keep everything flat. And I could address that, and I could do the same thing. I might need a smaller file, a little triangle file or a little rat tail file or something to do it. But I could do that with a file, and I could use the side of the file as well. But I'm going to quickly take a little 3-inch sander, and I'm just going to go around and hit each one of these teeth on the side. So I'm going to knock the burrs off and make sure everything's still somewhat flat. Now I'm going to take the bottom edge of this, kind of the floor of our cutting blade, and I'm going to make sure that I stay as flat as I can. So make sure you're being even about the kind of material you're taking off. And now I'll come back and hit the cutting edge of this blade right here. Again, trying not to change the angle on this cutting face. And now I'm going to come back and I'm going to hit the angles on these teeth here. And now I'm going to hit the face of each one of those teeth. So go back and inspect and make sure we've hit all those, and then we don't have any teeth that are laid over. And we want to make sure that the angle is actually pulling those wood chips to the center of that blade and not pushing them out. So you can see I'm kind of past the center point on my angle. So it does not look perfect by any means, but let's see if we'll actually change the dynamic of the cutting that we have now. We'll turn this wood around so we've got a fresh place to get a bite. And I am going to drill a center hole because I think I've basically worn out our self-feed, and I'll show you why. it really doesn't want to pull in. So I'm just going to go ahead and drill us out a hole for the center, but then we'll see if this will actually do some cutting. So you can see just with a little bit of time on a 3-inch sander or a file, you can redress those points and redress that blade where it will actually cut just fine. Now again, I didn't recut any threads there on the self-feed, but it's easy enough to just drill you a center hole and then start drilling. And I probably could have drilled just a small hole and then it would have probably started pulling in. But regardless, that would get you by and you would be absolutely fine. I would recommend replacing that at some point, and this could be your backup if you need to. But it's definitely going to get you by. Don't throw them away. Spend a little time to dress them up, and they'll recut. Now, that's the same way on these paddle bits, on these self-feeds paddle bits, any paddle bit really. Again, you just want to dress up where it does the cutting. Dress up those teeth a little bit. And again, you can do this with a file or a little sander. You could do it with a nail file if you needed to. There we go. So really any drill bit. Now when you get to actually drilling in steel, you do have to take a little more time and making sure you're getting your angles right, things like that. But same idea is that you've got to have a leading edge. But definitely on these bigger drill bits that again you're spending good money for, you can dress these back up and make them be able to cut once again.